Moving along in round number 2 of funny car competition, it is Don the Snake Prudhomme. Now Prudhomme here in this round has drawn Raymond Beadle in the blue Max.
Between Raymond Beadle out of Dallas, Texas, and Don Prudhomme, they accounted for 7 consecutive years of Winston World Championship titles. Apparently Beadle has problems. Prudhomme in the Pepsi Challenger just takes a short burst off the starting line, then shuts it off. Steve, what could have happened to Beadle?
Well, Dave McClellan, checking with NHRA's competition department, we find that, you talk about bad luck, you know how low these cars are? Well, there's a little bump where they come out of the staging lanes out to line up for their burnout and race. Apparently that bump was just high enough and the Blue Max was just low enough to punch a hole in the oil pan. Oil ran all over the pavement. There was no time. Prudhomme was already started to do anything about it. Here is your low qualifier, Mark Oswald, the Candies and Hughes car.
Mark Oswald out of Ohio, moving down to the home base of Houma, Louisiana, and taking over the driving chores of the Candies and Hughes car. From the East Coast, from Easton, Massachusetts, is the Super Brute entry of Al Segrini. The Fabergé car, winner of Best Appearing Car in many competitions, as could the Candies and Hughes car. Both state-of-the-art examples of what a good-looking funny car should resemble.
Mark Oswald won his first major funny car title 2 weeks ago in Canada. Al Segrini won earlier this year at the Cajun Nationals in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They are set and ready. Segrini appeared to move first, but look at the muscle in the blue car.
Muscle is what he has at the end of the racetrack as the Candies and Hughes car with Mark Oswald records a 5:92 elapsed time, a speed of 249 miles an hour, plus just a heartbeat away from 250 miles an hour. The Bud King, the body coming down on the Mercury LN7 of Kenny Bernstein. Hailing from Dallas, Texas, he started a chain of restaurants, sold them, and got into the professional race business and done very well.
And he is up against Rick Johnson, who started his drag racing career at the age of 18 as a mechanic back in those funny car racing days of Gene Snow. A very capable young driver who appeared to maybe have the Spring Nationals won this year when his parachute just fell out at half track. Now, Kenny Bernstein, recall, in round number 1, set low elapsed time for the funny cars at this event at 5:85. So Johnson has got a handful in the Budweiser King in the far lane. They leave right together, no noticeable hole shot, and they stay together at half track. It is Rick Johnson. Rick Johnson pulling ahead and winning it by a car length.
And Kenny Bernstein was unable to duplicate his 5:85. Rick Johnson moves into the semifinals where he will face Mark Oswald. John Force will be going against Don Prudhomme. Some of the most popular cars in all of drag racing, the Pro Stockers, the factory hot rod. Let's hear a little bit more about it. Steve Evans.
If watching these Pro Stock cars run, you get the impression that they're nothing more than warmed-over modified street machines. Nothing really could be further from the truth. The only thing that's left stock on this 1983 Ford Thunderbird of Ricky Smith is the roof and the quarter panels. Everything else is custom crafted. And because of all that sophistication, they're the most expensive car in drag racing to build. Also, a lot of people feel the most difficult to drive. Ricky has an awful lot of things to accomplish in just 7 seconds in this car. Let's go for an imaginary ride. The first thing Ricky's going to do is what you and I would do. He's going to turn the ignition switch on, hit a couple of electric fuel pumps, and start the engine. Now, Ricky moves his right hand to this maze of gear shift levers that control 3 individual overdrive-style transmissions. With this in the forward position and all of these in the forward position, Ricky is ready to stage. As he stages, he uses a hand brake to hold the car on the starting line. Holding it tight with the engine at about 8,500 RPM, the light turns green and Ricky is gone. Quickly as possible, he shifts into second gear, half track, third gear, three-quarter track, fourth gear, steering the car through the lights about 180 miles an hour. He depresses the clutch, pulls the parachute. The run is over. The Pro Stock car is a lot more complicated than it might appear, and quite a challenge to the men that drive them.
A wild ride by Bubba Carson, but both Bubba and his Pontiac Firebird A-OK. These cars are very closely matched, very evenly matched in horsepower, in cubic inches, in weight, and we see just how close the racing can be. As they approach the finish line, it sometimes is just a matter of inches separating the two cars, determining who wins and who loses in this very popular Pro Stock category of championship drag racing competition.
And Dave, we pick up our Pro Stock coverage with the semifinals. Don Kuntz here in the near lane, Lee Shepard in the far lane. Now, Kuntz will also do a burnout, but it's a little different style. They have an electronic mechanism that locks the front brakes so the rear tires can spin free and heat up in the water area. Don Kuntz is from Cayuga, Indiana, driving this Chevrolet Camaro, and the highlight of his career had to be a hole-shot victory at the recent Spring Nationals over this man, Lee Shepard of Arlington, Texas, the famed Rear and Morrison Camaro, the two-time and current world champion.
Two Chevrolets matched in the semifinal round of racing here at the Summer Nationals. Very evenly matched. Again, 500 cubic inches maximum, 2,350 pounds. The total weight of the car, including the driver. So there's a lot of driver in this. There's also a lot of tuning ability. You will find the races much closer, possibly, than in other forms of competition. And a red light. This is where he took advantage, or tried to take advantage of the starting line, and failed. Lee Shepard moves into the finals of the Summer Nationals.
And so many drivers will red light against this man, they just have to gamble occasionally. A 788 wins it, and here is Butch Leal going farther in competition than he has in at least a year. Butch Leal from Southern California, formerly called the California Flash. Now I guess it'd be the Ohio Flash as he's in Columbus. This man, the local driver, Frank Iaconio, Totowa, New Jersey.
Number 2 in the world last year was Frank Iaconio, and he has set his sights in 1983 to win the Winston World Championship. But there's a lot standing in his way, and right now it is Butch Leal in the Rod Shop Pontiac. 500 cubic inches each. Gasoline-burning engines, and Frank Iaconio by several car lengths takes the win. His speed over 177 miles an hour. His elapsed time, 7.80 seconds. As Frank Iaconio moves into the finals against Lee Shepard, we're getting set for the semifinal round of racing in funny cars. It'll be Don the Snake Prudhomme in the Pepsi Challenger against the Mountain Dew car of John Force. Steve had a chance to talk with Don earlier about the Christmas tree.
He said that if you see the green light, you're late.
You heard right. Yeah, that's exactly right. When they say, you know, you're not supposed to leave till the green's on, but if you do see it, you're absolutely right. You're late. The car needs to be accelerating by the time you see amber, because by the time it turns green, you're in motion where you hit the lights at the exact right time.
Nobody knows better than Don Prudhomme, but John Force will be trying to pull off the upset here. Prudhomme, the veteran, with more nitro-burning wins to his credit than any other driver in history.
And I can tell you that John Force literally idolizes this man. We'll hope someday to possibly have even a fraction of the number of wins that Don does. John Force has been cutting very, very good lights throughout this season, has been first off the mark many, many times. The Snake in the near lane, John Force in the far lane. A battle of the soft drink brands here in the semifinals at the Summer Nationals. Force finally stages. Now Prudhomme is in. They are set. I can't tell who left first. They were right together. John Force, however, is running away from his idol on this one. It is John Force winning it at a 6:02, 247 miles an hour.
Steve, the start looked very good for both cars. It looked like they left the line almost simultaneously. And again, we're dealing in hundredths of a second. See if you can pick it out here in the replay. It was John Force moving just a fraction of a second earlier. But where he made up the distance was in the first several hundred feet at a car length lead at this point. And John Force carried it through for the win as our final pair of cars in the semifinal round, Mark Oswald against Rick Johnson.
Rick Johnson, the custom body car from Utica, New York, as we mentioned earlier, very popular with the fans here. They see it on many, many Saturday nights during the summer racing season. The number 1 qualifier, Mark Oswald, the blue Candies and Hughes car from South Louisiana. Mark Oswald, who was in the winner's circle here a year ago, driving Paul Candy's top fuel dragster.
A green light start for both cars, and it's Mark Oswald pulling ahead. Something wrong with Rick Johnson's car, and Oswald goes through at a 5.95 at over 243 miles an hour, while Rick Johnson is pulled off the track into the grass, and he had some problems. He wanted to get off the track just in case it might be leaking oil, and Johnson comes out through the escape hatch. The fans themselves seeking relief from the heat. It's over 95 degrees here at Raceway Park.